Hi, Dan Birch with Blue Collar Back Office, and today I have the absolute pleasure of sitting here with Matt Mulvey and Jessyca Seltzer from Mulvey Custom Contracting. They have been one of our longest tenure clients. Matt has been with us going back to our first year of opening, going all the way back to 2018. So today it's a great opportunity for people that are working in the construction industry, small business, whatever industry you're in, to learn from people that have been running a company for a long time, the things that happen as you take twists, you take turns, things go up, things go down. You have to be adaptable. You need to be able to pivot. So today we're going to get to learn some real valuable insights from Matt and Jessyca about how to run a construction company that is profitable, that is transparent, that is clean. And first of all, thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. So Matt, again, like I said, you've been with us going back to our first year of operations. So it's been a long time. We've taken a lot of twists and turns together, but off the bat, just tell us a little bit about Mulvey and tell us a little bit about what kind of makes you guys unique and makes you special.
Yeah, so going back to 2003 is when the company opened, and it was really just me. I'm a carpenter by trade, and I started the company just as a one-man show, and it's evolved substantially over the years. So once we got linked up with Blue Collar Back Office, I realized that I couldn't do it all on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And as the company evolved, I realized that I needed that support on the financial side, on the bookkeeping side, on the number side, and I was advised to reach out to you guys. So thankfully we connected, and it was a much smaller company then. It was really right when I was starting to scale, and we had I was still swinging a hammer in the field. I had a couple of helpers,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew that I needed to dedicate my time to the quality of the work that we were doing, and I needed help on the number side to make sure that I was compliant and that we could continue operating as a successful business. So as the company has evolved, and now that we've got office staff and project managers and kind of a robust team, Blue Collar has helped to evolve with us and support us along the way and support that growth. The numbers are a very stressful part of running any business, in a construction company with things that are changing, especially when we're renovating projects as things come up. The financial side is constantly fluctuating, and having that support, knowing that the numbers are accurate and that they're being documented properly and compiled properly for tax purposes and profit and loss statements and things like that, has been really comforting knowing that Blue Collar's had our back.
Oh, I really appreciate you saying that. And honestly, it's a success story because a lot of people they start their own business for that same reason. You had a talent and you were really good at it and you had a passion for it. So hey, let me start my own business. What happens a lot of times that we find is some people can't get past that step. They just don't understand how to take the next step from everything being on their shoulders to knowing like, hey, I got to bring somebody in. When we first met, you had one person working in the office. So like that was your first little branch out. And now you've just kept on growing and growing and growing since then. So a lot of people, they don't know how to take that next step or they get comfortable in the position that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you end up not really realizing what you really set out to do. So first of all, it's amazing what you've done. We can see over the years the growth in terms of not only revenue, but profit and just the professional way that you go about running your business. It really is a success story. And Jessyca, you've been part of the team now with Mulvey for just over 2 years. And I can tell you, Matt, you've had a lot of different people work for you over the years, and we've interacted with a lot of different people, good people who are really good at what they do. But Jessyca's been a game changer for your business. Sure. I think there's no other way to put that in terms of the way that you've implemented some of the procedures and project management and how that ties back to the financials and allows us to do the things that we do for you has really been remarkable. So tell us a little bit about your background. How'd you end up here at Mulvey?
So before I came here, I was working for another general contractor locally for almost a decade, and I had experience in project management. So I was their project manager for many years and then kind of took over the operations after I saw, being in the field, like what the needs were and the things that were missing and the processes that were needed in order to keep things moving, to keep your team happy, to keep your subs happy, to keep the clients happy is a job in itself. And so that I'm a problem solver by nature. And so that role in operations felt like the right role. And, it was time for a change. and a mutual friend kind of mentioned that I was looking for a job, and I called Matt the next day, and we met shortly after, and there was just that good energy and vibe, and I think what he was looking for is what I was sort of looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it works because really off the bat, he really did trust me and kind of was like, you know what you're doing, like go and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it allowed him to then go out and sell and be more present on site and make sure the quality of the work was in line with our standards, because he knew I was like here kind of making sure it was all moving on the back end of things. So
it's so important to put people, I call it putting people in their best position to be successful, right? Like that's my most important task as the owner of Blue Collar Back Office, in my opinion, is putting everybody on my team in a position to be successful. And Matt, you're doing that, right? Like, so you have identified that you sitting in the office doing paperwork, entering bills, dealing with your subcontractors.
Not a thing.
That is not putting you in your best position.
Not my strength. Not the best use of my time.
And it's not the best use of your time for Mulvey's success, right? So you identified that, and you brought in somebody who is awesome at it.
Yeah.
Right. So that frees up you to be doing the things that help you grow the business and make you happy in what you're doing, which is important at the end of the day too, and helps the business grow, and that trickles down. And now you get to focus on the things that you excel at and be great at, and hopefully not getting sucked into doing a whole bunch of stuff that you're not so great at. Like that's the ultimate goal. And it's something that I still struggle with in terms of delegation and making sure that, everything doesn't fall back to one person, that there's not just like this bottleneck of information. It happens in every business. It's impossible to 100% avoid, especially when you're first starting out. But it seems like over the years, if you've taken this step, you've really done a very nice job of making sure you're putting people in positions to be successful. And I applaud you for it. That's great.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So in any given day, let's do just a little day in the life. So what is a typical day? Like every company has, I think, their problem solver. Something's gone wrong. Let me go talk to this person. They will fix it. So it kind of sounds like that's you for here. So tell me a little bit, what's your typical day?
So we start our morning at 7 a.m. with a team meeting.
Okay.
So everybody's here. We're standing up. We're talking about our day, what happened on each project the day before, what's happening the day of. We talk about anything, kind of issues. We raise the issue if there is one on any project. And then we'll come back to it after the meeting. So we try and keep it sort of more streamlined. With the project managers and our senior project manager. We have a field coordinator, our site support. Everybody kind of just talks about what their day was like before, and then the team will huddle in here, and then sort of with the senior project manager, and then slowly they will come out, and then they end up in a line kind of at my desk sometimes with questions or, hey, what's the story with this? Did we get this on a purchase order? Was this material ordered? So that's, our job in the operations is just to make sure that we constantly are feeding the project everything it needs so that it's successful. The project managers have what they need, and, we can do our job. That's
great. It's a great way to start the day, just with good communication, make sure everybody's on the same page, because when you're consistent about it, then the expectation's there, and that helps eliminate headaches down the road. And what about you? What's your typical day? What's your ideal day, I should say, at this point as you're building and running the empire?
Yeah. So my ideal day, I'm in the morning meeting every morning, and listening to what happened the day before, what's intended to happen that day, what problems or blockers have come up. The nice thing about our system is that we record our daily logs the day before. Okay. So each project has a manager on it, and that manager sends out a daily log to each of the clients at the end of each day. And for me, my process is that I review all of those ahead of the morning meeting. So I look at all of the pictures, I look at all of the, the progress that's been made, any challenges that come up, and being prepared to talk about them and help to problem solve in the morning is, the first step. And then my typical day involves meeting with clients, meeting with our senior PM and managers on site. Sometimes I have meetings with Jessyca around, what initiatives we're going to be, working on for that day or that week or that month. But for us, it's really a matter of our processes. So every day of the week is a different, standardized process for us. So some days we may be talking about finances. Some days we may be talking about management strategies or things that have potentially gone wrong that we need to put some solutions around. And it's exciting to have those opportunities baked into our day-to-day operations.
Yeah, it's so important to make it consistent too.
Yeah.
I stress it to everybody. If you leave things like that, like reviewing your finances, talking about big picture initiatives, where you want to take the company, if you leave those things for when I have time, you're never going to have time.
Exactly.
It's always going to get filled up. The time's always going to get filled up. So I love that. You guys communicate with your clients every single day in terms of the progress that's happened on the project.
Oh, absolutely.
That's amazing in terms of the transparency, and it has to help in terms of relationships because stuff goes wrong all the time. You can't run a project without something going wrong, but you are ahead of the communications with the client. And I imagine in some cases you're letting them know when something's gone wrong, as opposed to them finding something and coming back to you.
It's a big one.
That helps a lot. Has to help a lot.
We would
that's the
rather share that information before they share it with us. We Matt and the project manager also meet on site with the client once a week. So that's another thing that I don't think happens as often in other construction companies. We're not hiding behind anything. We're standing here. Sometimes we have to deliver bad news. Sometimes it's good news, but we're not gonna hide from it. We are very transparent, and I think that's why our clients, we have a lot of repeat clients, and I think they come back to us because even though, maybe there was a little hiccup or an unexpected, unforeseen condition or things like that, we always show up. We always do the right thing. There's lots of transparency, and we're very clear about, we do talk to our clients about them. This is a partnership. They're in it with us,
right?
As our subs are, but they're in it with us, and they ask things of us and we ask things of them, and that's how it works so well.
It's so important, and it ties so much into kind of our beliefs here at Blue Collar and how we do things, and what I stress to our clients and our construction company as well. It's our motto. We had meetings and we tried to map out what our mission statement was and all these things, and everybody contributed, and at the end of the day it came down to do the right thing. That's our motto.
Yeah.
I don't care what the easiest thing is, fastest thing, cheapest thing. Just do the right thing.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
sometimes it's going to hurt to do it, but in the long run, you're always going to make out ahead, right? So I love the idea of constant communication. And for anybody that's, again, starting their own construction company, getting into the business, I know confrontation isn't fun, and it's not fun to air yourself out and point out when you've made a mistake. But when you do that, like Jessyca said, you build trust. And when you start building trust, you develop a reputation, you get repeat business. It will pay off for you down the road. If you try to hide from it, it's going to come to light. And now it's just a much bigger problem than it could have been. So I applaud you both for that. That's awesome.
I mean, for us, it's all about accountability.
Yeah.
And we always take that responsibility and that accountability for any of the actions that happen on site. And if something does go wrong, we enjoy putting process around it. And that's how we solve for the future. And, we talk with our team about that every day. And it's nice to be able to collaborate on those solutions because things are inevitably going to come up.
Yeah.
And if something goes wrong on a project, it's less about the problem than it is about the solution and helping to correct course and showing the clients that we're not going to abandon them. We are going to be accountable and help guide them through so that, we can correct course on this.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. I love it. So as you've grown and evolved, what we do for you has grown and evolved over the years, right? So when we first started, it was basically we were doing your bookkeeping and basic bookkeeping. And now, as we've continued to grow together, now we do some of our advisory work. We meet every Monday. That's part of your structure, and part of my structure is we meet every Monday. We review your financials, review your cash flow, your accounts payable, accounts receivables, all of those kind of things. So again, getting that structure in place is really important. But for you and for both of you, as you've grown, and as you've looked at things, what are the key things that you look at when you're looking at financials? Like, what are the things that you look at to say, I'm in line with where I want to be on this project, or I'm in line with where I want to be as a company? Like, what are you shooting for? You're looking at your revenue numbers, you're looking for gross profit, you're looking for your margins. Like, what are the things that are really important to you when you think about your business?
Well, I mean, it's all of those metrics. It's those things that, we have to look at the trends year to year, month to month, and see what really has impacted us in a meaningful way. So if we have a down month and cash flow is down, we look to see what the cause of that is. And if there's some sort of a trend that has happened that we need to figure out how to correct course on with that. But it's all of those metrics that you just spoke to that you guys are able to provide. It's helpful to see all of those, and they take interpreting. So, helping to interpret those charts and understand what the trajectory is on certain ones, that's not necessarily our expertise. Our expertise is in building and renovating homes. And helping with your expertise in interpreting what those charts are and what those different spreadsheets really translate to is what helps us understand if there's something to be concerned about, if there's something to celebrate, and really what it all means.
Yeah, because you got to do both. You got to celebrate, and you have to learn. I always stress, fail forward. Not every job's going to go perfect. There's going to be times where you mismeasure or prices change from when you land it. But knowing it and being able to adapt and pivot and move forward and not keep making the same mistake over and over again, I think is what really helps people. So one of the things that we've done, I guess, fairly recently in the last year or so, is we've started using the dashboard, the WIP, essentially to look over your jobs. And, for anybody that's watching that doesn't understand what a WIP is, it's a work in progress report. You're tracking your contract, your budget accounts, how much you've actually spent, et cetera, et cetera. For some companies, you have to do a WIP for the different types of industries that you're in, if you're doing bonding and things like that. For you guys, and this really could be valuable for anybody, for you guys, you're just using it as a way to track your business and track your projects and your pipeline. So right now kind of what your pipeline is looking into the start of next year already. So what does that do for you in terms of having that information to be able to make decisions about how you want to drive the business moving into next year?
Yeah, well, it makes things predictable, and that's the most comforting thing. These projects, there is so much, happening in terms of money exchanged and, keeping track of change orders and payouts and things like that, that it's tough to know where you're at on the project financially if you're not having a meaningful way of keeping track of it. So, using the WIP and understanding what has been paid out on the projects, what's left to bill out on the project, and how much we're going to be receiving. This way we can project what our profits are going to be and how we can utilize those funds towards whatever growth we want to put that to. So, having that makes it somewhat predictable and comforting, because otherwise it's just the unknown and you don't know if you're doing well or if you're underwater on a project. And it's helpful to know that as soon as possible.
Yeah, so it's reactive versus proactive, right? I always stress being proactive. So you can be job costing and understanding how a job went, but you don't know until after it's done in those cases, right? What the WIP allows you to do is to see things how they are right now in the moment, so you know how they're progressing, and if you need to address something, pivot something. We found in the past something that was a glitch that just needed to be fixed, and instead of finding it 6 months from now, we found it this week and we fixed it. So, and the other thing that you've implemented over the last couple of years and is builder trend and your ability to manage and run the project management software to its potential and using that to integrate into the finances. So talk to me a little bit about how you kind of don't try to do it all yourself in your head. You take advantage of the technologies and the tools that are out there, and how you use that to help you run the day-to-day here.
Well, so Builder Trend is pretty robust in what it offers, and it is fairly user-friendly. Our clients get on the portal, they're able to pay invoices there, they're able to see the schedule, they're able to see like selections of fixtures and finishes and things like that. But then for us on the back end, all of our purchase orders for all of our subcontractors and vendors are put through there. So, and it goes right against the budget that's also built in there. So just like the WIP, sometimes if you see something where you're like, oh, we're like negative on something like this, sometimes you go and you're like, oh, it was a change order, something was, miscalculated, or there are times where, we just may have missed the mark in estimating, and it is the tool that we then use for the next project where we're like, we gotta change this because last time this was, the problem we had, or it was under budget. I think it's a great tool to use to kind of just get a quick update of like where things are at, who's been paid, how much they've been paid. We've been doing a lot more cost plus projects, and it's been very helpful in that way. You can filter by the by the cost code, so you can really kind of see everything you've built out, where you are with certain things. And then, we started using that budget in there, and we can really, close out, whatever trade is done and see how we did on each one by trade.
Yeah. And that's the continued evolution of you guys in terms of the types of projects that you're doing, how you're now running them, and now the next phase of the kinds of projects you're doing. You're getting more into doing cost plus and things like that. And I think what's really great is, I love QuickBooks Online. All of our clients use it. I think it's great. It's a great accounting software. It's not a project management software. Builder Trend, Procore, there's programs that are out there that are project management software. So again, just like you do with your people, use software to do what it's good at. Don't try to run your finances and your bookkeeping out of a project management software, and don't try to run your project management out of an accounting software. But what's great is Builder, Trend, and QuickBooks communicate with each other. So it really has, again, allowed us to have, as your bookkeepers, allowed us to have more accurate data in real time, which then allows us to present to you more accurate reporting and things like that. So it all kind of cycles together.
Yeah.
So in terms of evolution and what you're looking for, you've talked a little bit about moving into cost plus. Is that a conscious decision that you guys have made, or is what's driving that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tool that we've started offering so that clients can have the freedom to allow the project to evolve naturally as they wish. So if they don't really know what they'd like to have happen, if they haven't made decisions around certain aspects of it, they don't feel like they have to make those decisions at the front end of the project. We can leave it somewhat open-ended with guardrails. And that's always the most important aspect, is to have some sort of a budgetary understanding around the cost plus of what the intention is for where those numbers to come in at. And then we enjoy being transparent with our clients around, where it actually came in, what the options are if we want to gather additional prices on it to see if there's a better price option. And then, we talk them through. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do the cost plus. Sometimes it's with a fixed management and profit fee from Mulvey. So this way, if they decide that they want to do some, opulent decision, it doesn't mean that we need to put our percentage on top of it, where our fee and our profit is already fixed on the project. So for some clients, that makes more sense than having a solid number at the beginning of the project. But it's really to customize it as per our clients' needs.
It ties back to what you were saying, transparency, right? Everybody knows what's up front, managing expectations, and that freedom to let the project evolve and breathe as it needs to breathe. So that's wonderful. Now, I'm going to make you guys kind of look into the future a little bit. We've spent a lot of time this year in all of our meetings talking about how things have changed, steering the ship a little bit and where things are from a financial standpoint. We're already talking about what next year is going to look like. But when you think about where you were in 2003, where you were in 2018 when we started together, and where you are now, where do you see the company, and where do you see yourself being in the next 3 to 5 years or so?
Yeah, I mean, the growth that we've experienced has been organic, and we've grown at the pace that we could control the quality. It's important to not grow too fast and put out more, bring in more people just to bring people in. Our goal is to bring in the right people and to really kind of self-evaluate and figure out what systems and processes are going to work best for us. Okay. And that's really been something that, Jessyca has a superpower with, is figuring out those systems and processes. And, when we think about how we want the company to run, we kind of reverse engineer it. We figure out what the needs are, and then we figure out how to make the systems work around us to ensure that that's going to happen. And that's true of our own internal systems and processes and those that the client experiences. So continuing to fine tune those things, we're always being introspective of how we can get better and how we can fine tune those systems and processes. And, I hope that we will continue to grow and continue to scale and surround ourselves with great people and great clients. And, that's the faith that we have in our growth trajectory. And then we look for the ways that we make that happen. And, with the surrounding yourself with a good team is how it happens. And that's what I learned early on. I don't have all of the answers. I can't take it all on my own. And it's a matter of figuring out who can help to support the initiative. The principles are exactly the same. From 2003 and 2018, it's providing good quality craftsmanship and high quality experience for our clients. And it's a matter of how we, continue to get better and better at that.
Awesome, man. I could not have said anything in that better. The way you're scaling, the foundation that you're building upon, the principle, all of it, that is perfect. And I hope we're along for the ride with you. And for you, what do you want to see happen over the next few years?
So we've definitely talked about the use of technology more. I think the use of AI is something that will probably get incorporated more into our future. We do use it quite a bit. We record. We used to, when I first started here, we had somebody who would go to the client meetings and take notes. And then that would become, an email to the client about what was discussed and action items for both, us as well as the client. And then, we found a tool that we could use that would record it and transcribe it. And it makes it a lot easier, and it makes it easier for our manager so that they can stay focused on the projects and being on site and still be able to do this admin work in a more efficient way. Efficiency is what I'm here for. And so, I'm always looking for ways to become more efficient. And that's, my goal is constantly just to see how we can do things better. And when I joined and we were like really restructuring things, I think you sort of like, you have a plan and then you're like, that didn't go exactly how I wanted. And you're just constantly refining. Mm-hmm. And I think anytime you stop doing that and you get complacent, and then it just doesn't work. Yeah. And so you have to just continue to work on it, make it better. And I think for us, why we're successful is because I think we're very collaborative. So if our managers have an idea of like how we can do something better, we're like, share it, tell us. You're out there, you're doing it. Tell us what would make it easier. Mm-hmm. We're very big on the collaboration. It's a team here. As Matt said, we have the right people on the bus, and like that makes all the difference.
Yeah, it really does. And I'm obsessed with efficiency and potential, right? Like I want to make my company run as efficiently as possible, maximize my potential, and then get to that next step, right? I've said it before, you don't impress me by raising your revenue and keeping your profit the same. All you're doing is adding headaches, adding liability. You impress me a lot more when you keep your revenue the same and you increase your profit. That means you're running more efficiently. Using the tools that are available to you to be able to do that and not being satisfied. Like you said, you're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. There is no standing still. You might think you're standing still, but you're not. You're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. So continuing to evolve and continuing to grow. And I think you guys both really just hit it on the head. And, you both share a good vision and you collaborate well. And that's important. You can't have two Matts. You can't have two Jessicas. You can't have two Dans. You need somebody that counterbalances each other. Everybody's got to balance each other out and have their areas of strength, have their areas where they kind of freak out a little bit, and the other person's there to calm them down. I tell everybody when they start with blue collar, like, my crazy is my crazy. Don't make it your crazy. You have your crazies. You keep them, and I'm going to keep mine, and then we're going to meet in the middle. So I think what you guys have built here over the past several years, it's just amazing. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity that we've had to be a part of it. And I look forward to many more years together.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
For you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate it.